chaos creates opportunity. And you hear that, you hear it all the time, but how specifically, how does chaos create opportunity, or opportunities, I should say, and why does chaos create opportunities?
If you're a real estate investor and are wondering how to raise and leverage private money to make more profit on every deal, then you're in the right place. On Raising Private Money, we'll speak with new and seasoned investors to dissect their deals and extract the best tips and strategies to help you get the money, because the money comes first. Now here's your host, Jay Conner.
Along, and we've got an exciting session scheduled for today, that's for sure. We are talking about what is 2025 looking like now in real estate and for real estate investors. And along with that, what's the effect of all the volatility of the stock market and all these tariffs, that's coming from the Trump administration? Is there a direct link? I mean, what's the link between stock volatility and the effect that has on the real estate market and real estate investing? So anyway, take advantage of this Zoom meeting. We're going to be on here for about an hour. Any private money questions at all that you have and come to mind, be sure and type those in the chat. Well, let me go ahead and share my thoughts on these topics. And then after I do that, Crystal, we can get caught up on the questions or comments that are in the chat. So one of the mastermind groups that I am a member of, not the mastermind group here that I run with Crystal and Chaffee, but one that I'm a member of, and I'm a member of multiple mastermind groups. I'll speak to that in a moment. But someone posted yesterday, I think it was yesterday, posted in one of the mastermind groups, and the only thing that he said was, quote unquote, chaos creates opportunity. And you hear that, you hear it all the time, but how specifically, how does chaos create opportunity, or opportunities, I should say, and why does chaos create opportunities? Well, here's a few thoughts. First of all, chaos leads to needing to change, being innovative, and being adaptable. I think one word I heard a moment ago was being able to pivot. And so chaos is like situations that are characterized by, we said, unpredictability, complexity, confusion, which of course leads to fear. And I like to talk about creative destruction. Creative destruction. What in the world is creative destruction? Well, that's where the old systems and the old ways and the old processes give way to new and innovative ideas. What in the world am I talking about? I can't think of a better example than my own personal private money story. And you all know it. Most of you all have heard it. But my old way, my old processes of funding my real estate deals when I started in 2003 until 2009 was relying traditionally on banks, relying on institutional money. That's all I knew to do. And then, as Chaffee mentioned, 2008 comes along, 2007, 2008, 2009. I get notified in January 2009 that my bank has shut me down. That's chaos. That's confusion. That's stress. That's a little bit of fear. And so that leads to one of the things that chaos helps you grow, and that is your level of resilience. I don't know any other characteristic, personal characteristic, in successful real estate investing or being an entrepreneur, period. I don't care if you're in real estate or if you're doing essential oil parties that Crystal can tell you all about. By the way, private money exists there too. But I don't care what entrepreneurial thing you're doing, chaos has come along. Disruption is going to come along. And so I remember exactly what I did when the chaos came along and I lost my line of credit. And you all know the story. I asked myself the question, who can help me with my problem? And I asked myself that question, who can help me with my problem? I immediately thought of Jeff Blankenship. I called him, and that whole conversation led to private money. So that chaos, if it had not been for that chaos, we wouldn't be here together today, right? But it all depended on my response to that chaos. So here's a writer-downer question for you to ask yourself. And that is, when you're feeling the fear, you're feeling the confusion, you're feeling the chaos, then how are you going to respond to that? Well, Gerald says, turn your TV off, and somebody else said get rid of it, right? However, one way you definitely want to respond to it is to, and here's a big takeaway, staying connected with folks that have like minds like this group right here. Staying connected. If you're not in a mastermind group, get in a mastermind group. I mean, it's when these times come along that we create opportunities of collaboration, right? I mean, when you're feeling the fear and the confusion, you for sure don't want to be out there on an island by yourself. So it creates all this opportunity for us to come together. And if you're having a problem, for us to come together and figure it out and pool our resources and share with each other what's working, Chaffee mentioned COVID-19. That's the most recent big chaos that we've had in our recent years. Well, that was horrible. I mean, all the people that died from that virus. On the other side of the coin, look at all the opportunities that came from that and what people created and what they were able to innovate, right, from that, such as, telehealth advancements, working from home, and all that kind of stuff. So it always comes back to your mindset. It always comes back to what's in between your ears. It all comes back to what your filter is. How are you viewing? How are you observing? How are you, responding to what's going on out there? Now, somebody a few minutes ago talked about foreclosures. I can't remember who it was, but the housing market boom and bust. It's also known as the Great Moderation. 1990, all the way up to 2008. During all that volatility of the stock market, housing outperformed the stocks with all that volatility in the stock market. And why is that? Somebody already said it. I think it was, Banjo and your private lenders. I mean, people complaining about what their 401ks are doing right now. Well, the private lenders are pretty excited about having going on what they've got going on because, as you said, Crystal, the stock market is an apple and an orange from what's going on in real estate. Now, the stock market is a great indicator and a pretty good indicator of investor confidence. And when investor confidence is going south, a lot of them run over to the stability of real estate. And so it's typically going to be even more stable, even when the volatility is going on with the market. Foreclosures, I just read an article yesterday, are predicted to be in another uptick, as they have been throughout 2025. And if they are, that's going to give us more opportunity to serve more people. Speaking of the tariffs, sorry, Crystal, nobody actually has a crystal ball because nobody knows what Trump's going to do and how the rest of the world is going to react to what Trump does. But let's say hypothetically, tariffs have got an impact or end up having an impact on building supplies. By the way, building supplies are not as bad as people say. I mean, the actual statistics since 2020 is building supplies are up about 30%. They have not doubled. Yes, a 2x4 has doubled, but building supplies in general are up about 30% since 2020. Well, even if building supplies go up because of tariffs or whatever, well, what would that do? Well, that would slow down new builds. That would slow down new builds. Well, what does that do? That decreases inventory. What does that do? It creates opportunity to sell your houses even faster after you put them on the market to go. And as Crystal said, if the market slows down, I mean, here's a writer downer. Jay Connor could actually care less what the market does. Really. I could really care less what the market does because, as Crystal said, you're going to pivot if you need to change your exit strategy. I mean, I just saw last month the most current statistic is 81% of Americans can't go to the local bank and get a mortgage. There's your big rent to own, lease purchase, selling opportunity, right? So we move with the market. So what's the takeaway from what I'm saying and what everybody else is saying? You see, when fear exists in the market, by the way, Scott, we got a lot of writer downers here for social media. I want you to know that. When not just me, I mean everybody's input here, but when fear exists in the market, some people freeze and they do nothing and they step back. What's the takeaway? That gives us more opportunities to do deals when you got scared investors that are stepping back, right? So, what's the takeaway? I'll tell you the takeaway. Don't slow down on your pipeline. Don't slow down on sourcing deals. Don't slow down on talking to sellers. Don't slow down on telling your private money, private lending story and opportunity. Because, listen, I made more money than I had ever made before in real estate the first year the bank cut me off. How is that? Well, with the private money, I had a lot more private money at my disposal than the bank was loaning to me. And at the same time, you had all those foreclosures going on. And stop and think about that. All those foreclosures were going on, and the banks weren't lending money. By the way, there's another takeaway. The volatility of the stock market leads to Wall Street tightening up and not lending money. We don't care when you got private money. Let the banks tighten up all they want to, because with the world of private money, you're going to have all that you need. And as we say all the time, you make the rules. So the takeaway is turn the gas on, increase your flow of motivated sellers that you're talking to and telling your story on private money. And don't worry what the market does, because we got all different ways that we can pivot. Crystal, let's get caught up on questions in the chat. No, I tell you what, before we do questions in the chat, I don't want anybody to miss what we're getting ready to talk about next. Then we'll get caught up on questions in the chat. So I want y'all to write this down. Talking about collaborating, being together, learning from each other, and skyrocketing your real estate business. June 25, 26, and 27 is the next upcoming, right around the corner, private money conference. And you can register at www.theprivatemoneyconference.com. This is a $3,000 event. You're getting to come for a measly $97 registration fee. You can upgrade to VIP if you want to. You'll have that choice, but not required. So Crystal has put it right there in the chat, theprivatemoneyconference.com. This event is a must-attend event. It's going to be here before you know it. And it's already starting to fill up, and we haven't even started promoting it that much. Chaffee, let me turn it over to you to talk about the Private Money Conference and why people need to get registered right now.
Well, you need to get registered right now because you want to make this year your best year yet in real estate. And with everything that's happening outside, we're going to teach you how to cut out the gab, cut out the noise, and really focus on how to do real estate the J way, which is building a business with a servant's heart, getting out there and really helping people that are struggling. And I gotta tell you, there's a lot of people struggling out there today in today's economy, and we have an opportunity to go out there, not only help people make more money on their money by private lending, we get to help people like relieve themselves of that burden of that housing market of that real estate through their distress, and then again put people that are looking for properties and maybe not qualifying for properties or looking for a perfectly built house. And so Jay, as you might know him, will teach you not only how to raise private money, he will go through his four pillars of real estate, which is how to find the deals, how to raise the money first, how to find the deals, how to sell them quickly in a fast or slow market. As we say, we can pivot. And then fourthly, how to automate this entire business from A to Z so that you can build this business and automate it and do it in a way where you're not building another job for yourself. Jay spends about 10 hours or less in his business every single week and consistently does anywhere between 2 to 4 or more deals every single month. As Jay said, never turn off that pipeline. And so when you come to this event, not only is he going to teach you how to do this, and so we always get the feedback that people's hands are tired from writing down all the notes that they take. He's going to bring out his team members. And so you're going to meet his contractor, you're going to meet his designer, you're going to meet his real estate agent and his team members on how they work with Jay. And you get to ask them, how do you meet Jay? How do you work with Jay? What does Jay do? How do you guys turn things back and forth? So how does Jay travel to all these wonderful mastermind events and speaking gigs all across the country while you're running the business for Jay? And what's beautiful about this is that you'll get to meet these team members that Jay's had on his team for over a decade. And so when you find those people and you build the right systems and the right business, they'll want to be with you and stay with you for a long time. And so again, not only is Jay's going to teach you how to do this, you're going to see it live in person, not only from the team members, but then we just brought back a couple events ago the live bus tour. Jay, I'm assuming we're going to do that again this time in June, right?
We are indeed.
Wonderful. And so we get to go on a bus and we get to look at Jay's properties while he's fixing them up and property that's fixed up. And so you get to see the before and after, or, depending on the stage of the property at the time, you'll get to see Jay's properties as he's working on them real and live. And so, what's beautiful about this is that you get to see Jay and his business as it is versus just going to an event where they're just pitching you on coaching and the person they're promoting is not even at the event. I've been at a few of those where, they just hire somebody to do the training and the head person you don't even ever get to meet. So Jay's going to be there all 3 days. You want to be there all 3 days and you want to take this business and do it the way Jay does it so that you can change your life and set yourself up for you and your family and your friends going forward.
Thank you, Chavi. Get registered at www.theprivatemoneyconference.com. Chavi, did you have something else?
Yeah, Jay, before we get to the questions, I did want to throw in there, our latest disaster or catastrophe we had was COVID. And I do remember, during COVID, a lot of people stopped doing real estate. Like I talked to a lot of real estate agents and real estate investors were like, "Oh, what's going on? We got to sit out and wait it out and all that kind of stuff." And I remember talking to this team here with Crystal and yourself and a bunch of other people. We never stopped. Like we were like, we need to push forward. We need to go through. And so when we had this whole social distancing thing, or you can't see people and you got to wear masks, what did we end up doing? As you said, Jay, innovation, right? I mean, Crystal was like, talking to sellers using Google Lens, and sellers were showing their own houses on the cell phone while, we were doing the walkthrough on the cell phone. So that was a new technology that came about. And if you were doing real estate during COVID, houses pricings like went up like crazy, like ridiculous. And so you made a ton of money, especially, when you were doing the deals and the people that sat back and waited and crawled into their little hole of protection and comfort, right? They missed out on a huge opportunity in the real estate market. And I'm not saying that's what's happening now, right? There's a lot of noise with tariffs and stuff. Only, as you said, Jay, is step on the gas and work that plan and keep moving. For every situation, there's people that adapt and change and move forward with things, and there's others that sit back and do nothing. And so you got to decide which kind of person you are for that.
Thank you, Chavi. Thanks to all that participated and for all of you that showed up here. Great rest of your evening and week, and lots of love from Morehead City, North Carolina.
Bye, Jay.
Are you feeling inspired by the knowledge you gained in this episode? Then head over to jconner.com/moneyguide. That's jconner.com/moneyguide and download your free guide that shares 7 reasons why private money will skyrocket your real estate investing business right now. Again, that's jconner.com/moneyguide to get your free guide. We'll see you next time on Raising Private Money with Jay Conner.